Good morning. This is the law of sines and law of cosine for calculus class. When we are using these two rules, they are for non-right triangles. So if you look at my little example here, we don't know that this angle is a right angle up here. So that is not true. Have to hit the delete key. So we don't know that we have a right triangle anywhere to use the law of sines and the law of cosines. But since we can calculate an altitude in there, h, we can show two little right triangles. We can solve this one and this one. We could find that the sine of angle A is equal to h over b, and the sine of angle B is equal to h over a. Now, I could solve both of them for h and then rearrange the equation, and I could do this with our third side to create the law of sines. Law of sines is one of those you can have on the back of your table. It's a proportion. You always have to know at least one side and the angle opposite it. Otherwise, this won't work. Now, we also have the law of cosines. This one's a little bit more difficult to create, but again, it's usable. The side and the angle. When you deal with this, you will use PEMDAS. All right, so let's go look at an example. In this particular case, they're going to tell you to solve the triangle. That means they're going to ask you for missing pieces. So if you notice, we have two angles and one side. So our first order of business is to find this angle. Since we know that all three angles inside of a triangle add up to 180, I'm going to get 180 minus my 154 that I currently have. So this angle is 26. And I'm going to need my graphing calculator. So we want to be able to set up a triangle using the law of sines. Remember, if we're going to use the law of sines, we must have a side and angle pair to use it. So in this particular case, we're going to start out by saying 200 over sine 26 is equal to A over sine 34. Then if we cross multiply, we find out that A is going to equal 200 sine 34 over the sine of 26. Now, when you put it in your graphing calculator, a couple of things you need to check the mode, make sure it's set on degree. And then watch your parentheses. And make sure you have them closed on the angles, otherwise it'll give you something wild. And then you have your missing side. And in this case, it'll be 255.12. Now, if we were going to find little c, we would follow the same process. Now again, both of these two can be on the back side of your table. So now let's do an example with the law of cosines. In this particular case, we have a side angle side type of arrangement, and when you see that, you know that you're going to use the law of cosines. So in this case, I'm going to substitute. Be careful when you do this that you follow PEMDAS, otherwise you could have lots of issues. Now, I'm going to put this all in my graphing calculator. And I'm going to have 10 squared minus 2 times 10 times 20 times the cosine of 40 degrees. Now, this comes out that a squared is equal to 193 point whatever. But I need to find a, which means I need to take the square root of this. So you go second square root, and then go second and the plus minus sign, and you get your answer. And this is 13.91. So I found this side 1391. Now, if they ask me to solve the triangle, that means I now need to find those two missing angles. So to do that, I'm going to use the law of sines. So I'm going to put 13.91 over the sine of 40, because when you use the law of sine, you always have to have a cross, equals 10 sine of b. Now, it would be better when I solved this that I didn't round that number, and since it's still in my calculator, I should be good. So sine b is equal to 10 sine 40 divided by that 1391. So if you go back into your calculator, type in 10 sine 40 divided by the answer that you just had, which is second the minus sign, and you get this result. So sine b is 0.4619. But I want to find the angle itself. So to find the angle itself, I have to use my second function. So I'm going to go second sine of that answer I had before. And now I have my angle B is about 27.5. Now, since they gave my angle as 27.5 degrees, and I want it into degrees, minutes, and seconds, you would go back to your calculator and go second angle, do number 4, and we now have 27 degrees, 31 minutes. So there's my angle B. Now, to find angle C, I know that all three angles add up to 180, so I'm going to take 180 minus 40, and then I'm going to take it minus the 27 degrees, 31 minutes. Well, I'm going to have to borrow and get 60 minutes, so this becomes 139.60. And now when I subtract, I get 29 minutes. Here I'll have 112 degrees, 29 minutes, and that will be angle C. Make sure you follow rounding instructions. So what we've done so far is we've used the law of sines to find missing sides, the law of cosines to actually solve the triangle. Now, just because the way the law of cosine is written, there would be a possibility that the given sides would not form a triangle or could form two separate triangles. And on your book, on page 170, it talks about the ambiguous case. Now, with the ambiguous case, we're going to have two possibilities. We're going to have if that angle that is given, where we're given one angle, if it's less than 90, we need to go through these steps to decide how many solutions. If the angle given is greater than 90, then we need to go through these other two possibilities. You may also write this on the back of your table. I will send you a copy of each of the three panels. Since we're not going to have class on Friday, any questions that you have on using law signs or law and cosines we will deal with on Monday. But again, the whole point of both of these laws is to solve non-right triangles. Good luck.